11 educators in Atlanta, Georgia could face up to 20 years in prison for inflating their students' test scores to get money for their schools and for themselves. That's right. A group of 11 Atlanta, Georgia teachers have been convicted of cheating in a wide-scale operation which led them to inflate scores on student standardized testing. Coordinators and other administrators were convicted Wednesday of racketeering for their role in a wide-ranging conspiracy on student standardized tests. All right? Looks like they will all be sentenced on April the 8th, 2015, and could face up to 20 years in prison for racketeering charges. All right? I've got their names listed from left to right. Okay, I'm leaving the link.
Bam. Reaching the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mentioned both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both, because they were both messengers of truth and reality. You're looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30. But you know what? You can see me and Alderman Jones 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Just put our names in the search engine, and I want to say hi to the people in the United States, Central America, Canada, Africa, the UK, Europe, Asia, Central America, right? Australia. Okay. And today, what we're going to be talking about is the public school system. I have Alderman and former ward committee man, Alderman Jones, and I'm going to introduce my guests, Minister Cynthia Williams and LSC President Donnell Glover. But we're going to go to my co-host first. I said it right.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad this is a good subject. As you all saw, the pictures on the television set, all of the people that they're talking about giving 20 years to look like us sitting here. Now, it's very strange that those individuals went and educated themselves, and after they educated themselves, they got to be doctors and teachers, and they want to put them in prison for 20 years. They could have fired them.
Yes, sir. And you know what? We have Minister Cynthia Williams. Please introduce yourself, and Donnell Glover on. What's from?
I don't know. He said no, I don't know. Don't know what happened.
What happened?
Unfortunately, you can only have
Looks like 11 educators in Atlanta, Georgia could face up to 20 years in prison for inflating their students' test scores to get money for their schools and for themselves. That's right. A group of 11 Atlanta, Georgia teachers have been convicted of cheating in a wide-scale operation which led them to inflate scores on student standardized testing. Coordinators and other administrators were convicted Wednesday of racketeering for their role in a wide-ranging conspiracy on student standardized tests. All right? Looks like they will all be sentenced on April the 8th, 2015, and could face up to 20 years in prison for racketeering charges. All right? I've got their names listed from left to right. Okay, I'm leaving the link.
Bam. Greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mentioned both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both, because they were messengers of truth and reality. You're looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30. But you can see me and Alderman Jones 7 days a week, 24 hours a day on YouTube, on Google's, on Yahoo, AOL, MSN. And I want to say hi to the people in Central America, the United States, Canada, Asia, Africa, Europe, and I think the Middle East. And you said Australia too, right? In the UK. And, you know, we're going to be talking about education today, and my co-host with me, former Chicago Alderman Virgil Jones and Ward Committee man. I've been corrected about that so many times, I remember that. And we have Donnell Glover, LSC president at Wadsworth. But I'm going to let them go ahead and then.
Well, you know, Mr. Glover is one of the most brilliant men that I have ever met in Chicago. And that's saying a whole lot, because he understands the real deal.
And Mr. Glover, can you introduce yourself to our listening audience?
Yes, I'm Donnell Glover. I've been an LSC president for the last 14 years. I used to be at Wadsworth Elementary School. Now I'm at Hirsch.
Okay.
And I'm the CEO of Donnell Glover Media Communication Production.
I'm happy to be in, both of us are happy to be in partnership with you. We recognize that, you know what, we're part of a unit, but there's a larger collective, and we have to work collectively. And I want to thank you, Mr. Glover, and we're going to have you on for 10 minutes, and then Cynthia Williams. I want to ask you something. There are teachers that are getting ready to possibly go to jail for 20 years for, as they say, inflating or rising up the scores of their student. If this is in fact true, do you think that's too harsh? And what do you think about somebody attempting to do something like that?
No, I think it's not harsh enough. When you steal, you need to go to prison. When you kill, you need to go to prison. What these individuals is doing is that they're robbing our students of an opportunity to be educated. They're stealing thoughts from their minds, teaching them you do as we tell you to do, not as you think. In other words, what I'm saying is they're not teaching them how to think. They're not teaching them how to read. These individuals are into teaching just for themselves and these dead white presidents, collecting it. That's all they're not into it, and they're not interested in our students.
Wow. I mean, I think the Alderman, he might have something contrary to say that. He might be in unison with you, but I don't know.
Well, I think the sentence is too harsh. All right? The sentence is too harsh because they should have fired them. We have people who were head of the school system here in Chicago that did worse things than what they're talking about. And they didn't go to jail. But they were, of course, they didn't look like these individuals.
They weren't Albion.
They were Albions and not, not Caucasoids.
I mean, what would be your response to that, Mr. Glover? What would be
Well, when I was president of the LSC at Wadsworth, there was a teacher who did not allow the students to go to the washroom. And teachers, like all other individuals that works for the city, are public servants. And they may not classify themselves as such. So what I did as LSC president is I called DCFS and I presented them with a situation that this is corporal punishment. And what happened to the teacher was she not only got fired, but she lost her teacher's certificate.
But you know what? But you know what the alderman is saying. The alderman is saying this is too harsh, and there are people that have done things that have been dastardly, that have been evil, Why not just fire him? This is what Alderman Jones is saying. I don't
Well,
presume to be. I don't wait. Hold on for a second.
If you entrust your kid, like I have 28 daughters and 3 sons.
Yeah.
And if I find out one of my kids is in school, and the teacher is not teaching the kid, and she's teaching them how to cheat, then she's gonna have problems. He's gonna have problems out of it. That's a criminal offense in my book, because they are robbing the students of opportunity to learn.
Can you respond to that,
Well,
Alderman?
you know, if the teachers were fired, they would never get another job teaching.
Yeah, but if they go to prison, they never get a job either, and then they have a long time to think about what they have done.
Well, you know, Brother Glover, I'm not one of those individuals that believe in this injustice system that they call the justice system. Because, you know, they twist stuff, all right, to their liking. And we don't really know the real true story. We know what they want us to know. And that is all.
What's your response to that, Mr. Glover?
I mean, I totally agree with you on that, but there's that type of situation being happening all over the city of Chicago as well. And CPS have to be part to blame, because they're not teaching our kids. They're teaching our kids how to test.
But
and what job you going to be able to go into the city and use those skills how to test?
But in the city of Chicago, there's not one person that's been indicted and went to jail for something like that. Not one.
Well, Alderman, they have to start somewhere. These individuals got to get the message that you can't toy with our kids.
Well,
you know, I got maybe about 40, 50 grandkids that I'm concerned about. Now, I'm no longer concerned about my 28 daughters and 3 sons. 24 of them already went to college, and each one of them is making above 6, 7 figures. You know, but what I'm concerned about is my neighbor's kids and all of these other kids who should be learning, but they're not being taught. Because these teachers are doing no more than collecting these dead white prisoners, putting them in their bank, and not really doing their job. And to me, that's a crime.
You know, I want to focus on Chicago, and then we're going to have to get Cynthia Williams in. Mayor Emanuel is talking about the teachers taking a 7% pay cut because the contract will expire. What do you think about that?
Who, you asking me? Or
I'm asking you, the mayor of Chicago. Yeah.
Well, number one, he's in office because a lot of teachers have voted him back in, and he's trying to put himself above the law. He's not recognizing the contract. He's still in this situation where he's trying to punish the teachers for these strikes and all of this other garbage.
You know, the contract expires very soon. So.
Yeah, in next month, in June.
So, what do you...
And I think he's wrong at doing that. And he should go to prison, too, for robbing.
Well, you know, I used to teach 5th and 6th grade. And I can tell you that my opinion is that the teachers are being punished because they didn't support them. You know, politicians have a way, some of them, not all of them, of punishing people who were not with them. And I think when they're talking about cutting the teachers' salaries, that's what that's about. But you got to keep in mind, it's the people's fault. Because the people didn't vote. Sure. Especially in the African American community, as they call themselves. They didn't vote, and they represent the largest voting population in this city. So, like I tell my good friend Cliff, I don't want to hear nothing they're talking about, because you got the power, and you're not using it.
Yes.
You know, Saul Alinsky said, power runs on 2 poles. those who have money and those who have people. But those who have money have an advantage because they can buy some of your people.
Yes. And you know what? I'm thinking about well, I'm not even going to say that. But you know what, Mr. Glover, do you have any finishing comments? Because we got Cynthia Williams on hold, and I found out we cannot have two people on the line at the same time. We don't have
No, we as a people together, like the Alderman said, have to become on one page and stop allowing other people to control our thoughts. And we need to have respect for each other, because I always say, how can other races of people respect us as people of color when we don't respect ourselves?
Okay. And you know what, Mr. Glover, we have to sign off, but I hope that you could come on and do a show with us in the future. But we got Cynthia Williams on, and we do appreciate you being on. Okay.
Thank both of y'all and the whole crew there. Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
All right,
bye
Mr.
now.
Glover.
Thank you.
Take a break.
Take a break.
Take a break.
Okay. Damn, that's my phone. She didn't stay on hold. Oh man, on my phone. I gotta turn my phone. You know my battery is running low. I've been on my phone all day.
That's all right.
I know, brother. But you know something.
You calling her?
I'm calling her right now. I gotta wait for this to chop.
Oh.
But you know something? I feel it's too extreme to get him 20 years.
I do too.
Cliff, it's 10:08 and we're 12:31 to the show.
Okay.
You're gonna get 10 minutes off this show, man.
Okay.
12 more minutes.
Well, that should have kept Mr. Glover on.
You know that was your best bet, basically.
Oh man, my battery is too low. You know what though, man? Wait, hold on. Phone is so low, man. That's what I get.
You should always keep a charger with you.
No, man, because you know what? I need to keep that in the car, man. I need to keep that in the car. My charger, I got to get a new charger, though. That's what I got to get. I got to get a new charger. See how slow it's acting? Shame that you can't. But you know what? You know what though, man? In the studio, we're gonna try some new things. I'll talk to you about that later on.
Okay, Cliff, before we gotta get her in now. You're leaving.
Okay.
There's a lot of limitations today because of what's going on in the studio and the move, okay?
Okay, I understand.
Let's roll it, man. We gotta roll.
I understand, brother. Just put it on the up.
If you want to do part 2 on the next show, we can save this tape.
Okay. Okay.
You tell us.
You know what though, brother? It's nah, man. You know what? Hold on, son. The phone's too slow, man, because the battery is low. I did not know you can't have two people on the line. I didn't know that.
See, I didn't know you were going to have 2 people online. I only knew, I thought it was only 1. Or 2 people calling from a teleconference, that can be done. Usually 1.
Yellow?
Thank you for calling. I will get back to you.
You know what, man? Let's have me and the alderman to just finish the conversation, man. Because you know what?
I'm giving you 10 more minutes there.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, then. You want me to roll with the second roll?
Yeah, this is from where we was at, and then we just go ahead and just continue on. So.
Let me do the second roll then.
Breaking News has obtained key documents in a case involving sex acts in a classroom. A teacher is accused of leaving the students unsupervised. She has agreed to resign, but insists she did nothing wrong. Investigative reporter Mark Linney's live in Henry County with what those documents reveal. Mark.
Still going through them, but we'll have some of that for you. In the meantime, we did speak with Will White, a lawyer for the school system, who said, quote, she denied the allegations and we resolved it. He added, in a manner that we feel is fair and we're satisfied with the result. Well, here is what the teacher said.
I love my students dearly, and I went every day for them. Nothing more, nothing less. I went there for them. And I did, and I believe they know that. I believe they know that.
Her lawyer says April Lash was a special needs teacher at Henry County High, but after she arrived for a termination hearing, she, the teacher, learned that there was a settlement offer from the school system that would allow her to continue teaching, just not in Henry County.
This must break your heart.
Very much. Very much.
The settlement and the resolution was fair under the circumstances.
Lawyer Lowell Chatham says she reluctantly accepted.
The most important thing for me is that my kids know I truly missed them. I missed them tremendously.
A document suggests on April 10th, Ms. Lash asked someone else to cover an afternoon tutorial class for a few minutes, but he was summoned by a supervisor to watch another teacher's class. Lawyer Chatham says the allegations were that two students engaged in a sex act. Ms. Lash was accused of not reporting it to school administrators.
I did nothing wrong.
My client was actually picking up her daughter from school at the time in question.
I would never, ever leave any of my children, anyone's child, not even my own child, unsupervised or in a situation that can jeopardize their health, safety, or welfare.
Chatham indicated his client is a Berkeley grad with a master's from prestigious Carnegie Mellon and a law degree.
I've definitely gotten many calls and everything else, and just a lot of support from my kids. And that means a lot to me. A lot.
School system attorney White seemed to suggest the allegations she failed to make required reports were particularly important. Now, the documents we have indicate that Ms. Lash stated she wanted to investigate the allegations from another teacher further before she reported it, stating to administrators, quote, you got to me before I could get to you.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, the second part of the Underground Railroad TV show. I'm here with Alderman Jones, former Alderman Jones, and Ward Committee man. And we have Minister Cynthia Williams on the line, and she, I produce her Blog Talk Radio show. And please introduce yourself.
Cynthia?
Well, you know what though, man, I don't know what's going on. It's a technical problem back there. But you know what? We was talking earlier about the teachers getting 20 years. What do you think about teachers that are sexually taking advantage of young and impressionable?
You ever heard of one getting 20 years?
No.
Well, why would you give these teachers 20 years?
I agree.
I'll tell you why they want to give them 20 years. Because they look like you and I. I don't bite my tongue about it. They still deal with the black codes of 1724.
Nah, I had to confess, I don't know what that is.
Well, everyone should look up the black codes of 1724.
You can Google it up.
You can Google it up. And when you read the black codes of 1724 and you see what's happening here now, all right, you'll see that the shootings of these folks running away. Now notice what I said, running away from police officers. See, the slave catchers were allowed to kill any slave who was running away.
Okay, Minister Williams.
Hey, sir, how are you?
How you doing, Minister? And please,
I'm fine. I thought I was on the show
okay.
a little earlier, but I guess not.
Okay, we're short on time, but Minister, tell us about your Blog Talk Radio show briefly, and then.
Minister Cynthia Marie Williams, who is I have a Blog Talk Radio. I'm a former teacher, educator, and I got a degree in psychology from Roosevelt University. So what I feel that I've been called out to do is help heal the community and help real since being an African descended woman. Okay. So my blog show is every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And the number to call to participate is 646-478-0215.
Yeah.
646-478-0215. And you can look me up on Facebook, Mr. Cynthia Marie Williams.
Okay.
And you can see a whole lot about me on, you can just Google me.
Okay.
And then you can look me up on Facebook,
Okay.
YouTube, all those beautiful sites.
What do you
and
think?
I look forward to all of you listening in, calling in,
Okay.
and participating in the work that I have been doing out here
Okay,
for several years.
Okay, Minister Williams, we want to ask you briefly, what do you think about the teachers getting possibly 20 years for inflating, exaggerating on the test scores, and what do you think about teachers that are sexually perversive towards young and impressionable minds?
What do I think about the teachers union and how they relate to
No, not the teachers, not the teachers union. I'm talking about the school, the teachers that cheated, and they're possibly gonna get 20 years because they lifted up that area.
On that particular situation, I'm very unhappy with that because there has been an earlier confrontation with some Caucasian teachers who have done similar to that and have been pressing these white kids to cheat. That has been a history with Caucasians who look out for their own children. We call it cheating, that's what they don't call it with the black teachers. But the white teachers have always pushed the scoring up for their children. That's nothing new, except it did come out a few months ago and they briefly put it out there and you ain't heard nothing else about it yet. Again.
And you won't hear anything else about it.
I doubt if you hear anything. But they actually did it, and there you go. And see, I'm not saying that doing things are wrong, but we have not the opportunity to look out for our children, our people, in a way where we support them. They get mad when a black person supports another black person, but of course, unfortunately, Caucasians can do whatever it is they want to do, and it's swept under the rug.
Well, see, Minister, I'm going to tell you, we need to have our own schools run by us. If we had our own schools run by us, our kids would be so much better and they would improve so much more.
We have brilliant children. We have brilliant children. Please, again, we are the original Adams of the world. We are the original black African descendant Kemet. We are the original peoples of this world, of this planet.
And you know, Minister Williams, we're running short on time. There are teachers that are taking advantage of young people's impressionable minds, and they become sexual with them. Some teachers, we can't make a generalization and say all teachers. What should be done about that, and why is this going on in your mind?
Because these are people, when they were children, have been abused in this way. So therefore, they have not developed out of that sexual aberration. They have not dealt with it. In our community, we don't deal with these issues as we should, because our children are being molested and raped all the time, and our churches are not helping in this situation. And that's a failing in our community. We don't pay attention to the things that are going on that are perverse, and we don't deal with it.
Well, you know, Minister Williams, I was a student of Crane High School here in Chicago, and I was an athlete. And there were 3 teachers when I was in high school that I had sex with. So, you know,
3 minutes.
They always talk about the males, but they never talk about the females. And I can tell you...
You know, you're right about that. I'm going to tell you something that I heard as a female growing up, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. There was this consciousness, this thought, Alderman, and Cliff, that it was almost okay if you were a female to wean a boy into sex. Do you remember that, sir?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So that was that calling and that day and time. But it still doesn't help us as when people of color that are marginalized to get off into that.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know what, Minister, unfortunately, we have 3 minutes left. Do you have any finishing comments, a message that you want to convey that we did not ask you?
Well, what I would like is for everyone that recognizes the value of who and what we are. And see, we have forgotten that. Historically, we had women of color from Africa that were respected as mentors, as spiritual, and we are the original mothers of everybody on this planet, and fathers too. So we are the ones that God, if you say it that way, brought the world into existence through our black bodies.